I had to
Right.
click a button.
Okay. Wow, what a messy room. Hi, this is Fog Machine. I'm here with Mr. Blank, and we are going to have a lovely interview. He is going to be presenting at Wonder Valley Experimental Virtual Edition.
Number
Welcome, Mr.
15.
Blank.
Yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm excited about this.
It's shaping up nicely. I think it'll be fun.
I was telling a bunch of people about it, and they thought I was actually driving out to Joshua Tree to be a part of this, and I just let them think that, you know. So,
That's good. That's
yeah,
outstanding. It's a
yeah.
long drive.
Well, I am Mr. Blank. I'm out of Athens, Georgia, all the way across country from you guys. So, and I've lived here most of my career. I grew up just probably about an hour from here, you know. So Athens has always been, you know, a part of my blood. So,
Well, way back, what was the thing that got you interested in sound and making sounds?
hmm. Well, I mean, you know, just the exposure that I had as a kid to, I lived right between Athens and Atlanta. And Atlanta had a really good radio station, 88.5, that just played some of the most amazing experimental music. And that's where I got my, you know, exposure to it. And then Athens at the same time had 90.5, which is also just as good. And so, you know, there's many late nights of not being able to sleep or something, up late at night listening to experimental broadcasts on these college radio stations. That's mainly where I got my exposure. And now
So,
we have, you know, live streams and Twitch streams and things like that are kind of, to me, like taking place of that. You know, I'm sure, you know, there's still a lot of radio out there, but you know, radio and of course TV is just dying. You know, and so like I think it's at places like what you're doing and like what we do with Joker and things like that that really like keep this alive and keep it going. You know.
so tell us a little bit about Mr. Blank and what your project is.
Um, well, mostly, I mean, it's honestly, Mr. Blank's been so many different kinds of things over the years. And in my mind, it all kind of meshes together as, you know, one storyline and it's sort of like, you know, I don't even know how to explain that, but like a exaggeration of, you know, my actual life and things that, you know, in that I sort of exaggerate to these, you know, abstract proportions that sort of create that story. And so, you know, in my band, Rat Babies, we do like doom metal kind of stuff. In my project, Mr. Blank, it's in a lot of my filmmaking that I do. I've been telling this story, you know, and it's sort of like if I were to boil it down into like a real simple format, it'd be if the Mad Hatter, if you could experience what the Mad Hatter went through while on his way to going insane, that's the storyline. so there's
Excellent.
yeah, there's, you know, some spiritual awakening ideas in there. There's, you know, like some dark and scary, you know, thoughts. There's you know, there's so much that, you know, that go into it. It's hard to like boil it down into something simple, but most of the time, you know, when I'm making music, it's very improv nature. um a lot of times when I'm most of my shows, I would should say, were are mostly improv, and even some of the releases that I have on Bandcamp and things like that, most of that was recorded improv sessions that I released. But I'll usually kind of like pick a couple items and go, okay, here's the toys I'm going to play with tonight, and then I'll just sculpt something using, because I know these devices, I know these tools that I have so much that, you know, I can push them to their limit, and I can push them to, you know, to be used in ways that, you know, maybe they weren't initially intended or whatever. But you know, I find ways, and you know, when I first kind of started, I was always thinking about, gear and toys and stuff like that. But then as I continued to develop, I started working in like theater elements into my performances. And so I'll wear costumes. I'll, a lot of the movements and stuff I'm doing on stage, even though, yes, I'm sitting here twirling knobs and flipping switches and doing different things. It's all part of the actual like performance and story. I've also done a lot of performing as a sideshow performer. So I've done things like piercing myself and walking on broken glass and fire breathing and a bunch of different things like that. And so I've taken even some of those elements and worked them into my performances where, I've done a show once where, I would pierce myself with a needle and then I would hook an alligator clip up to that connection and pierce myself over here and hook a different alligator clip up to that and then do some, circuit bending with me as a resistor of the electricity that's running through me. And that was working in those different elements into the music as well. So it's all encompassing as with that performance with the music and everything all at once, So did I answer your question?
I think you did. That's
right.
wonderful. So I understand that you have some of the toys that you're going to be using.
Oh, well, I've got a couple sitting here. Let's see if I can move this so you can see them. All right. So this here is I call it the tape bender. And basically what I did with this is I took an old tape player. Of course I'm using the output on it and it's going into everything else, but here, let me pull this tape out. Like I broke the cogs out completely. So those cogs don't even work anymore. So when play, all I'm doing is I'm pushing that head up there. I also went in there and took out the erase head which this is something I learned. I didn't know at first, but every tape player has a magnet in it that will erase the tape before it gets re-recorded on. So I took that out so that I could just keep layering recordings with it. All right, so that was a cool function. But then, okay, let me put this in here and show you the magic of it. So then I created this little contraption. Let's see if you can see it. I used a pill bottle and made like a crank so I can, let's turn this a little. I can set this in and I put one of the cogs down there at the bottom. You can see that. So then I'll stick it in the tape. Oh, here, hold on, there we go. So depending on how fast or slow I go, I can get different effects with it. And one of the really cool things is to go really slow. It almost sounds like an animal growling or breathing or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I can go backwards. I go backwards too. So that's one of the toys I use a lot. I've got this thing right here, which is a baby monitor, and doing an interview, and turn that on, kind of show you what that does. So there's different spots in it that make different sounds.
And you're just shorting out the circuit with your thumb?
Yep. And to be honest, I don't know what it's doing. I wouldn't know how to build a circuit board like this, but it works and it does what I want it to. And I've learned it over the years of what it can do. Every once in a while I have to clean it with some alcohol to get, the oils off my thumb that are on there to, keep it clean and keep it working. But, it was just something I tried and it did something amazing. And so I've used it for years since then, And then I've got, I guess this isn't as much of a noise making toy here, but this is a little device a buddy of mine from let me turn that back off. That Cabbage Looper Farms, he makes these, and it's just a homemade pedal, basically, where I got one output and many inputs. So I'm able to quickly switch between this thing or this thing. And it's all going to the same, same output. So then, for the most part, I'm using a delay pedal and a loop station. And that's really it. So I've got a lot of other toys, but this gives you a little sample of some of the stuff I use regularly. I've got keyboards, I've got other noise making devices that I'll use in similar ways, but it's always with the delay pedal and the loop station to kind of that's what I use to as my paintbrush. That's what I sculpt these sounds with.
That's phenomenal. I particularly like the capstan taken out and the crank. That's
oh yeah, this thing,
that's an innovation.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but inside there's some tape from a cassette tape.
Oh, really?
That's just decoration, but and it's a coat hanger. I just use a coat hanger.
Maybe this would be a good time to talk a little bit about Joker TV and and what you have going there.
Well, we have a live stream show that we do every Thursday night at 6:30 on YouTube. JokerTV.com is our website, and we have merch available, all that stuff. And you can find a link directly to our YouTube there, so you can see the episodes. But we go live every Thursday to feature about 2 hours worth of music videos, short films, animations, all from underground artists, interviews, sometimes live performances here in our studio, which is where I am right now. I'm in the live performance side of the studio. But we've taken this house and changed it into our music and live stream studio. And, so we've done it since June 2020 is when we got started. And since then, we've consistently went every week, and slowly growing, but always looking to get more viewers. Everybody check it out, and artists, like any artist, we're not looking for big artists. We're not looking for artists that's going to be in Spin Magazine or Rolling Stones or something like that. But we're looking for artists that nobody knows about, that are amazing, and so we're putting those artists up front and really trying to give all the DIY artists a chance at finding an audience. So.
Well, it looks like your channel is also expanding into other kind of approaches. You had a thing this week where you had one artist and a bunch of different drone-oriented things kind of assembled, and that's a different approach there. And then you had a work meeting. That was your local networking with other businesses.
Yeah,
and it's like you're quite an influencer for that.
Well, we're trying to build this, so that it can, because the better our show does, the more attention we get for other artists. So we want to really, we don't want this just to be a little hobby live stream. We really want it to be something. So we recently got involved with the University of Georgia here in town in Athens. That's where this based. And we're working with them on a customer discovery with their iCore program. And so we're going around town and talking to different businesses about how they do their marketing. Do they use social media? Do they use live stream? Things like that. Do they use influencers? So we're sort of getting information we need to build our business, but through this program with UGA. So, then with the different shows that we're doing throughout the week, as our production here grows, we get new members of the crew joining us. And so Dane with Buzzard Guts, he joined us, and since then he's like, oh, I've got this idea I want to do. And so we started developing that idea, and that's what you were talking about that Saturday night. That was Chippendale. We featured Chippendale music for the whole thing, and it was called Deep Dive. And so we're taking one artist and we're showing a bunch from that artist to kind of give everybody a deep dive of that. Joker itself is, you know, a bunch of different artists, and so we've always got more artists coming in. And then the Monday night work stream is, you know, we started thinking with all this work we're doing with UGA and local businesses and stuff, it might be a good idea to kind of like, as we learn about what we're doing with this, to kind of like let other people know about it, because I think that, you know, a lot of the artists that we have on Joker are all independent artists, and so they don't necessarily know what to do to get out there and get funding and make something more of them out of themselves. And so, you know, as we're learning to do that, we figure, you know, we could show people what we're doing and what we're going through, and that might help people. And so that's kind of why we started that. We've got other ideas that we might do other nights of the week, but it's all, you know, we're seeing what we can do, what we can, you know, have time for, you know, because it's a lot of work to keep up with all that. So
You also were involved with supporting Ukraine, and you had some other things going. And, you know, you're not operating in a bubble. You are clearly, you know, offering people opportunities to interact with the world, and to take a larger look at the full picture of what's going on at the time. So I appreciated your outreach for Ukraine, and I thought that was a great thing.
Well, when we first started Joker, you know, the reason we started is because of the, you know, of COVID, of course. We couldn't go on tour anymore. My band had a tour planned. We had an album we were trying to release, all this stuff, and then, you know, pandemic hit. So we were like, okay, you know, what's everybody going to do but turn to live stream to try to, you know, continue to perform and continue to promote our art. So, you know, we reached out to everybody, because Rat Babies, my band Rat Babies, we've been around for, you know, a long time, and we've played with a bunch of different people all over the world. Whenever that, you know, we've had artists come into the United States and do tours, and we joined them. We've had artists come in where we drove them around and we were their ride, you know, but we also performed with them. And so we got to know a bunch of different people. And so the idea of starting Joker was, we didn't really want it to only be about Athens, even though Athens is amazing. You know, it's like, we know all these artists all over the country, all over the world. So we reached out to all of them, and we were like, hey, you know, let's start doing this. So you send us some stuff, and, you know, let us get it on the show. So since then, you know, our outreach has been worldwide. You know, I think like our second year in, we were like, hey, let's focus a little more on our own town, you know, because everything was more, you know, outside of town. But we still wanted to keep that element of worldwide, you know, appeal. So we get stuff from Italy, we get stuff from across United States, Australia, Austria, you know, like so many, like just everywhere, all over the world, you know, and it's pretty amazing. So,
well, is there anything else you'd like to add for our listeners here in Wonder Valley Experimental Land?
Well, definitely check out the festival. I'm really excited about that. I'm not sure exactly yet what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure that out. And I've got a big show coming up in June. So stay tuned for that here in Athens at a gallery called Athica. I've got something happening in June. And then, of course, you know, Joker, just every Thursday we're there. We love it when everybody joins us in the chat and talks with us and goes along with the ride. So
so there will be links below for Joker TV, as well as some other stuff. And thank you, Mr. Blank.
bye.